It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. What's happening, everybody? It is Geno Jones Showtime. So I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. Part of the Geno Jones Network, as you can see. You can see in that sign behind me, right? Tell everybody you know to subscribe, check it out, go back and binge watch all my back episodes. All right, listen, today, 12 days until Election Day, November 8th. However, early voting has already begun in most, if not all states. I know early voting here in South Carolina began Monday. Texas, I believe it began Monday. Arkansas? So virtually all across America. You can, Georgia, they've been voting for about, 2 weeks at least? Vote, don't wait until November 8th. Anything can happen. Cast your vote now. If you have elderly parents or grandparents, make sure they have their ballot, whatever ballot, because a lot of times our elderly people, they can't, physically, they are unable to stand in a long line or stand up. They may have mobility issues or whatever. So make sure they have their ballot. In some cities like Chicago, some elderly and senior facilities, like they have senior apartment buildings dedicated to senior citizens and the elderly. In some cases, they used to, I don't know if they do now, but they used to have polling places right there in the lobby of some of the, my mother lived in one of those buildings at one time. They actually had a polling place right there in the lobby of her apartment building. So check on your elderly. Check on your sons and daughters and nieces and nephews that are students. Make sure they have done what they have to do to get their absentee ballot, because young people, this election can determine the next 30, 40 years. Okay? A lot of rights that as a matter of fact, to the young women out there, my Generation Zers, Zillennials, maybe you're just turning 21 this year, like Allie, my youngest daughter. And maybe you're like a millennial, like my oldest daughter, Boogie, a.k.a. Lauren. My daughters, they have less freedoms. They have less reproductive rights than their mother, than their grandmother. How the hell did we go backwards 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years? Well, that's why it's so important that you make sure that you get out and vote. Vote early. Vote now. Like your life and your democracy depends on it, because it really does. As a matter of fact, check out Monday show and Tuesday show, the monologue. I went all in talking about what some people who want power, what they want to do to you, and what other people, the party in power now, because there's really only one political party. Listen, you can say what you want about the Democrats. At least they want to govern. At least they want to help people. There was a time there was like a Democrat and Republican Party. They would debate ideologies and philosophies, but they believed in facts. And they believed in free and fair elections. Like, if you got the most votes, you won. We weren't happy. We were in our feelings, but whoever got the most votes won. There is no more Republican Party. It is a cult. It is the MAGA cult. It is a racist, anti-black, anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant, really anti-Hispanic. Even though I know some white, you got your white Hispanics and something that's not even white that think that they can really fully embrace all of white privilege. Be careful. Yeah, even if your skin is white, they'll come for you. Listen, they came for other white people on January 6th. So be very, very careful. Don't vote against your own economic interests. Don't vote against your own reproductive freedoms, your civil rights, your voting rights, your right to marry who you want to marry, your right to even decide whether or not you want to even use birth control. They want to ban abortions. They want to ban birth control. But then they don't want to provide a living wage. They don't want people to at least make $15 an hour, which is really not a lot of money. You know, but you got some states still, the minimum wage is $7.25, $8 an hour. Really? You'd wind up homeless. If you're working a full-time job and you're making $7.25, $8 an hour, there's a pretty good chance that you could be homeless. What city could you afford rent? Only making $7.25, $8 an hour. So think about that. Also, I want to encourage and urge everyone to get their new Omicron variant, the COVID Omicron variant that will protect you against the earlier strains, the original strains of COVID-19 and the newer Omicron strain. As a matter of fact, this arm, I got the Omicron strain, the new Omicron variant, I should say the Omicron variant vaccine. This arm, I got my flu shot. So I encourage and urge all of you to do the same. Yes, I'm not a doctor, so that means check with your doctor, but I'm just telling you. And nobody hates needles more than I do. I am more afraid of a needle than a gun. I'll fight you with a gun, but needles, I don't want no part of it. So if I can get a shot, 2 at the same time, we're about 10 seconds apart, 1 in each arm, then anybody, trust me, no excuses, none whatsoever. But like I said, consult and check with your doctor, but please, I want to keep you healthy. I want to keep you alive. I want to keep the people that you love alive. Maybe you've got a healthy immune system, a robust immune system, but maybe your mom or your dad, your elderly parent or grandparent, maybe you have a sister or brother or a spouse with a compromised immune system because they had surgery or maybe they had to take chemotherapy or some other drugs that weaken their immune system. I want to keep everybody healthy, even the MAGA cult. I want to keep them healthy. I want to make sure that they don't get in power. But, you know, I don't wish ill on anybody. I wouldn't raise that way. And I got to thank Ronald and Ernie Isley. They were my guests yesterday. They got a brand new album, Make Me Say It Again, Girl. And they got some of everybody on there. They got, Earth, Wind, and Fire on there. They got, well, of course, Beyonce, the number one single in America 5 weeks straight now. Make Me Say It Again, Girl, which is the title tune to the album. So they put Beyonce on there. She's doing a duet. They also got songs. They got songs with 2 Chainz on there. They got songs with Snoop Dogg on there. And I'm leaving some folks out. But just Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's an amazing CD. And I had such a fun. If you missed it yesterday, if you missed my conversation with Ronald and Ronald Isley. So Ron is 81. Ernie is 70. Man, and Ron still got that swag. Him and Ernie, but Ron got that Mr. Biggs, that player swag. He got the great beard and doing his thing. So thank you, Ronald Isley. Thank you, Ernie Isley. Man, I had the time of my life. I had so much fun. And shout out to Candy, Ron, to your wife, Candy Isley. Thank you, Candy, for helping putting that conversation together for me. Ernie was at his home and Ron was at his home. So I had a great time. I want to thank you, brothers, again. You have a permanent home right here on the Geno Jones Show. So as soon as that video comes out for their new single, Make Me Say It Again, Girl. And you know, the Isley brothers, they don't just do videos. They do these movies. They're like mini movies, like a short film. So I can only imagine what this one is going to look. So you got Mr. Big, then you got Beyonce in there. Maybe she'll have Jay-Z making a cameo appearance. I don't know. Ain't no telling, but I can't wait to see the video. And as soon as it is done, as soon as it is completed, you will see it right here on the Geno Jones Show. So if you missed that conversation yesterday, October 26th, that was a Wednesday, go back to my YouTube channel. I've got all my back episodes. You can binge watch. You don't need Netflix. You don't need Hulu. You don't need Amazon Prime when you got the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel network right here, right now. Right now, you're watching me live. All right, so let me get into my monologue today. Now, for those who watch me on a regular basis, and shout out to everybody, shout out to my man Groove Master Dre. Shout out to hello mother, Mary Dixon. If you're in the chat room, you see Mary Dixon. That's my mother, my #1 fan, my executive producer, the woman that put the jet fuel in my system, that put the battery pack in my back to give me the confidence that I needed to do what I do. And it's made me successful. So I thank you for that, mother. So for those who watch me on a regular basis, you notice I haven't said anything about Kanye. And all the different, first to start off with Kanye with these, well, he has been problematic for a while. So recently he really kind of, as they say, jumped the shark and made some anti-Semitic remarks. He was talking about that he was, coming for the Jews and he was coming to kill the Jews that did him wrong in business. You can Google it, okay? So as a result, his contract with the Gap. So he had like this Yeezy, Ye line of clothing. He had the Yeezy, the shoes, sneakers. He had a deal with Adidas, and that was several $100 million that he lost. So the Gap, they ended their relationship, took all of his gear out of their store. Adidas took all of his gear out of the stores, off their website. They're not doing business with him anymore. I see Skechers. I didn't know he was doing something with Skechers, Weight Watchers. I didn't even know he had some kind of relationship. I hadn't seen him in a Weight Watchers commercial. So all these companies, they have ended their relationship with Kanye because of his anti-Semitic remarks, which is good. Now, I'm going to address these companies in a minute because it is good that you've ended a relationship with a person that's problematic, that's saying hateful things. But, Kanye didn't just start saying hateful things, but I'll go back to that. So let me speak to Kanye. If you're watching, if you're listening, Kanye, look, I root for you. As problematic as you are, I still root for you because we were raised on the same streets. We come from the same soil on the south side of Chicago, several miles apart, but still. 79th, right off 79th Street, right off South Shore Drive over there near Rainbow Beach. That's where you grew up. I grew up in Inglewood, moved to Hyde Park. So I root for anybody, but I especially you root for somebody that's from your hometown where you were born. But you really, Kanye, you have stopped rooting for black folks for a long time. And I'm just going to give it to you straight. For some reason, when Orange Hitler decided to run and then when he became president, I don't know what happened. I'm not even going to address, the whole bipolar nature. And many of us, we understand. Look, I saw your Yeezus documentary, Yeezus, which was brilliant. You had a mom like I have, and your mom was really your jet fuel, and she energized you and put that battery pack in your back that gave you the confidence to achieve greatness in the music industry. You had success business-wise. So I can only imagine. Because I lost my grandmother. My grandparents, I've told people the story on the show if you're watching, yay. So my grandparents raised me and my mother, really. My mom was relatively young. So my grandmother, when I lost my grandmother, it was like a part of my soul was carved out. I felt like somebody took a chisel and carved out my insides when I lost my grandmother. Because my grandfather passed first. And I was really in a state of denial because I had never had anybody that close to me that died. So I don't know if I ever really fully accepted it. I think it hit me one time after he passed, and he had a bank account, and my name was on the bank account, and I actually had to close the bank account. I went to the bank and I closed it. Harris Bank, down on LaSalle Street, maybe a couple thousand times in my lifetime. From the time I was a little kid, I would go to the bank with my grandfather. He'd show me it was a passbook savings account. He'd show me how you deposit and the balance, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, I had to close the account. I hadn't cried. When he died, you know, everybody knew how much he meant to me, but I was trying to be strong for everybody, for my grandmother and my mother, and I didn't cry. The funeral, I didn't cry at all. And I closed the bank account, and I went downstairs. So many times, if we had to go to the bathroom before we left the bank, you know, we would go downstairs. I'll never forget, and the bathrooms were in the basement, on the lower level of Harris Bank. And I went in a stall, and I cried. I mean, I cried. It was like a faucet. It was like a water main, a pipeline that just burst. And I just cried uncontrollably. I don't even know for how long. And after that, I was okay. But my grandmother, it was just, that was like somebody, I guess by then I had really reconciled, because I was in my early 20s. So when my grandmother passed, it just hit me differently, because I had lost my grandfather maybe 3 years before that. So the point I'm trying to make is I understand how it can affect you when you lose somebody that means everything to you. But what I did learn was that eventually when I got over my grandmother passing, I knew I could get over anything and anybody. And it really made me stronger. So, but Kanye, you have been on this anti-blackness. You've embraced this mega cult. So let me tell you, my brother, this mega cult, they don't love you. As a matter of fact, everybody, you know, all these companies have been canceling your ass and terminating your relationships. You lost a lot of money. You still got a lot, but you've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. And you were on Tucker Carlson's show, and I don't see him caping for you every night. Where's your boy Orange Hitler? As a matter of fact, he kind of criticized you. This is your boy, the man you called your daddy. He's like my daddy. This mega cult don't love you. And you can embrace all the white nationalism, all the white Christian nationalism. Some people call it white supremacy. There's nothing supreme about hate, fear, and ignorance. So that's why I don't even call it white supremacy. White Christian nationalism, that extreme hate. And they are black people who are white nationalists. And that's what you've become. But none of those companies cancel you. I'll address that in just a minute. But the point I'm trying to get you to understand is that with all the money you got and with all the fame and success, you still are operating on a different set of rules. At the end of the day, they still see you as the N-word. Even this MAGA cult whose ass you've been kissing and running around with White Lives Matter t-shirts. Do you know who created that? White Christian nationalists, white nationalists created that, opposing the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And you criticized Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and called it, I'm paraphrasing, I think like a fraud. Now you support it and you kiss the ass and you called a man your daddy. That's the biggest fraud and con in the history of humankind. I never heard you say anything bad about this dude. But you would turn on the Black Lives Matter movement because in America, there's data. In law enforcement, in policing, in the law, when it comes to buying a home, insurance, pay inequity, school resources, educational resources. black lives never matter as much as white lives, and it never has. The Constitution, black lives were not even full black lives. The original Constitution said Africans, black lives, were 3/5 human. We weren't full lives. You all are 3/5 human. So that the whole black life, and you know that. I don't need to explain to you where the Black Lives Matter movement came from after witnessing George Floyd. Really, way before that, Michael Brown, way back, what was it, 2013, when those cops in St. Louis shot him on the street and left him laying there like a dog, like he would see a dog laying out in the street. Laid out on the street, shot, bled out, died, and left him there for hours. So, that you got away with the anti-blackness, and you know why you got away with it? It's our fault. It's black people. Because our love for you and what you've done for the culture in terms of music, and to a lesser degree, maybe fashion, even with everything, you know, you went and married Kim Kardashian and that whole crew, all of that. All the times you gave just black folks and our culture your ass to kiss, we still gave you the benefit of the doubt because you were from our tribe. You were one of us. And we were proud, and still a lot of folks still are proud and love The College Dropout, one of the great albums of all time. But man, you stopped rooting for black folks collectively a long time ago. But we kept rooting for you. And we didn't fully cancel you. Yeah, it's not fun, but we didn't fully. And the funny part is, these companies, when you were saying all the anti-black hate, all the anti-blackness, like slavery was a choice. In 2013, when you were on tour and you were selling the Confederate flag gear, you had merchandise with the Confederate flag on it, the White Lives Matter t-shirt, when you said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves, she had the slaves work for other white people. That's just some of the stuff. All the anti-blackness, all the parroting, you were basically parroting and saying all the things that all these white nationalists were saying behind closed doors. But really, they got bold. But they had a black face. So say, well, see, we're not racist. Look, there's a Negro. Look at what Kanye said about you Negroes. So you gave them further license to say and do all the anti-blackness to your own people. But the Gap and Adidas and all these stores and department stores that pulled your gear out of there, and who else? Skechers and Weight Watchers and so many others that I can't even think of. None of those companies canceled you. None of those companies terminated your relationship, walked away from hundreds of millions of dollars when you were saying all that blackness stuff. When you engaged in all that anti-blackness, they were cool with it. I should tell you something. But see, when you flipped and said, okay, I'm going to go a step further now. Now I'm going to attack these Jews because I'm part of this MAGA cult. And the MAGA cult, they hate everybody. They don't even like a lot of white folks. They're anti-black, they're anti-Semitic, so they're anti-Jewish. They're anti-gay, lesbian, trans. They're really anti-immigrant, so they really are not crazy about brown folks and Hispanics either, truth be told. Even though some of these Hispanics are part of that MAGA cult. Just like you got some black folks that's part of this MAGA cult. It's like rooting for the people who want your demise. You're rooting for some people that really want to kill you. They want you to die. They see you as less than they are. They don't even see you as human. They probably look at you as like 3/5, maybe 2/5, maybe 1/5 human. But all these companies, all these major corporations that have terminated their relationship with you now, when you said these anti-Semitic things were cool with you, when you were saying all these anti-black things and doing all these anti-black things. So there's a lesson in that, Kanye. How these people, how these companies that were doing business with you, and the only reason they did business with you because they saw an opportunity to make money off of you. And they were willing to pay you because they knew paying you would generate them a whole lot more money than they were paying you. And you know that. You didn't engage in really like nation building back in the community. There's so much, with all that money, there's so much you could have did in Chicago. You could have partnered up with some other high profile entertainers, rappers, singers, business people, average everyday people who would want to invest and create communities. Your old neighborhood, right around 79th and South Shore Drive. Drive over there now. Try to find a supermarket. Food deserts. Kids are afraid to go outside and play. There's so many things you could have created. Safe spaces, safe zones, work with the city, created after-school programs, built all kind of facilities. Could have created maybe kids, everything from sports, robotics, designing games, coding, teaching them how to grow their own food. Just so many things. You got a Ford plant in Chicago. You could have maybe developed some kind of relationship, work with the schools where they could have. I went to Dunbar. That was a vocational high school when I went there. So teach kids some of the new trades, robotics and coding, but then some of the older trades that still pay great. People are always gonna need, somebody's pipes are gonna bust, especially in Chicago when it gets cold. So you need plumbers. Everybody needs an electrician. You're gonna need welders. You're gonna need carpenters, people to build buildings. Could have partnered up and formed some trade schools. There's so much that you could have did with that money, but it's your money. So I'm not telling you what, I'm telling you what you could have did. It's not my place. I could say what you should have did, but at the end of the day, that's your money. You earned it. So you got a right to do anything, everything, or nothing at all with it. But if you really are about that life and are about us, all of us, and your community and your culture and your people, so miss me with all the other stuff, but this was a teachable lesson, Kanye West and everybody else. Pay attention. Pay attention. I don't care how much money you have, how much fame and fortune. As long as you are anti-black, it's okay. But the minute you turn that hate toward other groups, they'll remind you, hold on now. You can say that. You can hate on your own, but you can't hate on ours. They will remind your ass. So that's the way we need to be with everybody, including other black people. So I don't blame. You have to take accountability. So I do have to blame you for the majority, a lot of your anti-blackness. But I blame myself. We collectively, as black people, we have to blame ourselves because we enabled you. Because we supported you, like I said, after all those anti-black things you said. Slavery and Harriet Tubman and the White Lives Matter and selling the Confederate gear at your concerts, all of that. And we still supported you instead of checking you. So that's the lesson that we as black people need to learn. When we see anti-blackness, when we see white nationalism, even when it's coming from people that look like us, we cannot tolerate it. We got to check it, Just like we would check it if it was coming from a white person, from somebody Irish or Italian or Jewish or German or from Mexico or Colombia or wherever, or Spain or Portugal or China. We got to check each other like we would check anybody else and not allow it, because other cultures don't allow it. And they just showed you, Kanye, and they showed us black people. So we got to be just as hard in the paint. We have to have zero tolerance for anti-blackness in any and every form, even when the anti-blackness is coming from somebody that looks like me and you, that has our skin pigmentation. Because I'm going to wrap it up by saying this. There's a saying, all skin folk, it's got your skin color. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you. And God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. I see you, Chicago, Chi-Town, 312-708-773. I see you, L.A. Dre. Shout out to my man Ken Wilson, who helped facilitate me getting Ronald and Ernie Isley on my show. We had a great conversation. The 310, the 323. I see you out there, everybody checking in. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. Really, this week has been an incredible week, continuing the second-year anniversary celebration of the Geno Jones Show. If you missed my conversation with Ronald and Ernie Isley, Mr. Biggs and Ernie Isley, the baddest lead guitar player in the history of the world. I know about Jimi Hendrix, and I know about Eric Clapton and a few more, but Ernie Isley is a beast. So it was a great conversation. If you missed it, even if you saw it, go back and watch it again, because we had a lot of fun. Monday, Tuesday, must-see TV. I tell you, remember, vote for people who want to protect all of your rights, your voting rights, your women's reproductive rights, your civil rights, your marriage rights, every right. Vote for people that want to protect your rights, your freedoms, your finance, and your health. And don't vote for people who want to damage and hurt your money, your health, and your freedoms and rights, that want to take it away. So I take a deep dive and go hard in the paint. So go back and binge watch Monday and Tuesday's episode. Just go back and binge watch all my episodes. But it was a great conversation. So last night is must-see TV. Copy the link, paste it, text it, email it to folks. Just email them a copy of the show. Tell them to go to the YouTube channel. Copy that, that link at the top. When you go to my YouTube channel, each individual show, you copy that link at the top, and you can copy it and paste it and email it to somebody. Just send them the whole show, or tell them just go to my channel and subscribe, and they can go back and binge watch any and every episode. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check him out on Instagram, KelBCuttinup, KelBecuttinup. The official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show is Allie Jones. You can check Allie out on Instagram. Fashion designer, fashion design major, Columbia College Chicago. Shout out to my alma mater, Columbia College Chicago. And she's a supermodel on top of it. Lexi is LX.NCL_. L like Lexi, X like extra, N like Nanette, C like Charlie, L like Lexi _ on Instagram. And shout out to Mr. Bruce Gage, also the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. The Mario Uomo collection. Check that out and a lot more. He's 2 years ahead of all the fashions you see in the high-end fashion stores. This brother, them folks, they go to Bruce and look at his showroom like, that's going to be hot. That's going to be what's happening in 2 years. He's 2 years ahead of everybody. And if you don't believe me, go to his Instagram page, Miglio Di Mario Uomo. That's Miglio DIMARIOUOMO. Once again, I want to thank everybody in my chat room, everybody watching me live, everybody that's in. Feel free, if you're watching me live, the chat room is open to any and everybody. Comments, questions. Like I said, you can even come for me, but just remember, if you come for me and I didn't send for you, I'm going to send you back where you came from. But I like doing that. So come on. Come on, trolls. Come on, MAGA. I'm about that life. This is what I do. So do what you do. All right. Once again, Groove Master Dre, my mom, Mary Dixon, and everybody else. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Friday, tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Early voting is going on right now all across America. Don't wait until November 8th. Vote now. Vote today. Anything can happen. You could wind up, getting COVID, but get your Omicron variant vaccine like I did. Get your that Omicron COVID booster. I got that one. Got the flu shot over here. Do that. I want to keep you safe and healthy. So until tomorrow, Friday, depending on when you're watching me, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Once again, I always like to leave you with this. As always, be blessed. Pray for peace. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.